Primal Groudon, the Pokemon that causes droughts, and the Titan of the land. And MonsterVerse Godzilla, the king of the monsters, and one of the most powerful kaiju in the world. But what would happen if these two titans met? Who would win, the Titan of the lands or the Titan from the waters? What is up, everybody? It's your host Inferno back with a new video, and in today's video, I am going to be putting up the Titan of the land, Groudon, up against the king of the monsters, MonsterVerse Godzilla. Before we get into the video, I want to say a couple of things, which you guys already know. Subscribe to the channel, please. Please subscribe. All you gotta do is press the button. It's really quite simple when you get down to it. So, yeah. Anyways, just subscribe. And thank you for just watching my videos. And, let's just continue. Starting off with Groudon's feats. Now, if we want to gauge how powerful this guy is, we need to gauge how powerful the opponents he's fought are. Starting off with Kyogre. Now, Kyogre and Groudon, these two are arch nemesises, however you say it. But these guys are constantly beefing with each other 24/7. Every time they see each other, the only thing they think of is that I gotta take this guy down. So their confrontations are literally on site. The beef is crazy. But let's start off with how powerful Kyogre is, so that way we can see how powerful Groudon is. And well, for starters, Kyogre's Pokedex entries state that he is capable of drowning entire continents in the ocean. Also, this guy has the ability to temporarily fly. And these guys' storms are absolutely crazy powerful. Visible from space. These guys are basically walking cataclysms, walking apocalypses even. But that's nothing compared to their babysitter, Big Daddy Ray Ray. And this is just in his base form. Wait till you see his Mega. And for those of you who have watched my past two videos about Rayquaza, you guys will know how powerful this man is. For starters, he was capable of blowing up the Grand Meteor Delta. And while that doesn't sound all too impressive, trust me, it is very impressive. Because this meteor came to Earth from the other side of the universe within 10 days. Do you guys realize the speed this meteor would need to be moving in order to get from to the other side of the universe and then to Earth in 10 days? And Rayquaza just flew into this thing and popped it like a balloon. Like it was nothing. And Groudon, constantly takes blows from Rayquaza. So, he is very, very, very durable. But also, he is actually kind of precise with his blows. Because Rayquaza was capable of dodging an attack that cannot miss. So, Groudon, who is capable of hitting Rayquaza multiple times, is actually very impressive when you get down to it. Also, Groudon is no slouch when it comes to power either, as Rayquaza is capable of actually fighting off the Creation Trio. And these guys are the gods of Pokemon, the gods of space, time, and antimatter. And Rayquaza just absolutely bullied them in the Pokemon movie. And Groudon, who is capable of throwing hands with Ray Ray, should at least be comparable to the Creation Trio. And the Creation Trio is consistently stated to have created infinite universes of Pokemon, which is very consistent, actually, and is actually very, very true. Because, based off logic, there are infinite universes of Pokemon because of how many games they're played on. And let me explain. Because of how many people play Pokemon, there are infinite universes where Pokemon is played on different saved files of each game. So that technically means that these guys created the save files, technically speaking. So if we're going by that route, then Groudon is absolutely crazy powerful. he is capable of fighting Rayquaza, and Rayquaza is capable of fighting the Creation Trio, which means that Groudon, who's comparable to Rayquaza, who's comparable to the Creation Trio, means that Groudon should at least be comparable to the Creation Trio in one-on-ones. Because Rayquaza fought all of them off at all three, and well, and Groudon gets absolutely destroyed by Rayquaza each and every time they fight. Which means that he should at least be comparable to at least one of the Creation Trio. And that alone is very impressive in alone of itself. But Mega Rayquaza, ho boy, get ready, because Mega Rayquaza is absolutely crazy. As I stated, Mega Rayquaza was capable of absolutely destroying the Grain Meteor Delta. And Rayquaza is capable of fighting the Creation Trio. And Groudon, at one point, was capable of temporarily knocking out Rayquaza. So, he's an absolutely offensive monster. And that's even before I get to his ability, which is known as Desolate Land, which creates a drought that is capable of, I forgot the word, that is capable of evaporating entire oceans. So, this guy creates droughts capable of drowning out oceans. That makes Tiamat look like dish soap compared to Groudon. So this guy is absolutely crazy. And just take a look at this guy's absolutely monstrous stats. 770 base stat total, 180 attack, 150 special attack, 160 speed. Okay, yes, there is 160 defense. And well, yes, he does only have 90 speed. However, that is still like kind of fast by Pokemon standards, given how much of a queso Primal Groudon is. So he's really good in terms of every single category. But enough of Groudon. Let's move on to Monster vs. Godzilla. However, there is one thing I need to clarify. That is the moveset Groudon will be running, which is Eruption, Precipice Blades, Protect, and Will-O-Wisp. So, Eruption is like a 150 base power special type attack fire move, which gets the boost thanks to Stab, which means same type attack bonus. So, it gets a 1.5 times attack boost. Plus Desolate Land, which further increases Eruption's power off of 150 base special attack. This thing is an absolute nuke. And the same thing goes for Precipice Blades. However, it is coming off of 180 base physical attack instead of the 150 special attack. So you have two absolutely bomb weapons. And there's also Protect and Will-O-Wisp, which pretty much protects the user from any sorts of attacks. So let's say Godzilla wanted to use the Atomic Breath on Groudon. Well, Groudon could simply just use Protect, and it would, protect him from the Atomic Breath, taking no damage. However, you can only use Protect 2 times in a row before you have to attack. And that's where Godzilla can take advantage of that, by going in for the kill. And then there's Will-O-Wisp, which inflicts damage over time throughout the battle, which also has the secondary effect of cutting the opponent's physical attack by 25%, which will be very useful for Groudon in this fight. However, Desolate Land, which in my opinion would boost Godzilla's Atomic Breath, because in my opinion, the Atomic Breath would fall into the fire type category of a Pokemon move, so it would likely also get the boost from Desolate Land. But if Godzilla tried to take this fight to the water, there wouldn't be any water to fight on, because again, Desolate Land. But now, that was like a full 9 minutes of me just talking about Groudon. Let's move on to Monsterverse. And he also has some crazy feats. For example, when in his supercharged state, which is this form you're looking at right now, his eyes are set to glow like 2 twin stars, which is absolutely crazy, because the sun is a star, and, well, you guys know how powerful the sun is. Also, by shooting a single atomic breath into the sky, he was capable of clearing up Shimo's ice storm. And Shimo was actually capable of causing the first ice age. However, when compared to Groudon, Shimo kind of is baby, because Shimo needs like time for this to happen. Groudon just makes it happen by existing. And well, yes, Shimo is capable of freezing the things around her by standing. it's not nearly as like widespread as Groudon's drought is. So while Shimo's ice is impressive, it's not nearly as impressive as Groudon's drought. So, in my opinion, I don't think a Monster vs. Godzilla would be able to clear up Groudon's drought. Um, However, he would be able to land more effective blows in terms of physical attacks due to his larger size and having more overall musculature. However, he is overall lacking in durability compared to Groudon. Now, don't get me wrong, he is very durable, capable of tanking blows from Shimo, Ghidorah, Tiamat, King Kong, the Muto Prime. However, if there's one thing I know about Monster vs. Godzilla, is that he does not like things that are good at the old stabby stabby, such as Kong's axe. And as I stated earlier, one of Groudon's moveset is Precipice Blades, which are massive spikes. So if hit in the right area, this could actually fatally wound Monster vs. Godzilla, possibly even killing him if hit on the stomach or neck. But I find that to be highly unlikely given the fact that Monsterverse can literally jump. So, and his upper body is just too high for the spikes to reach given Groudon's smaller size. So, I find it unlikely. But the spikes will do crazy damage if when hitting his feet or tail. And it will cause a lot of pain. And it will cut through. And Monster vs. Godzilla, in this state, he needs this form. Because if he was in his regular form, he'd be cooked. So that's why I'm giving him this form, not his other form, if you guys are wondering. Now, in terms of physical blows, Monster vs. Godzilla is very well off in this category, as he was capable of carrying the Muto Prime, Titanus Jinjamuchi, on his back. And he was injured, and he was in an injured state when he carried the Muto Prime. And Muto Prime weighs over 135,000 tons. So this is extremely impressive. Also, he was capable of casually throwing around Tiamat in the water. He is also a very skilled combatant in the water and on land. And for ranged weapons, he of course has the Atomic Breath. And also, when he got his spines blown up by the Muto Prime Screech, he was capable of using something known as a nuclear pulse, which releases a giant nuclear shockwave, which is extremely powerful, and was the blow that killed the Muto Prime. However, aside from that, he doesn't really use the nuclear pulse, so I don't really see him using it against Groudon. And yeah, with all those feats covered, oh, by the way, Monster vs. Godzilla for durability. He took the punches from Muto Prime like a champ, and Muto Prime was capable of causing tremors in the ground with her punches. Also, Monster vs. Godzilla took the Permian asteroid to the face, which was a massive meteor that wiped out like 99% of the life on the planet. Also, he took the Oxygen Destroyer to the face. However, he did almost die to it. And in terms of evolved durability, I personally think he would be more durable because the more radiation he has, he is more durable. However, there's not really a lot of feats of him tanking durability. I mean, sure, he gets thrown around by Shimo a lot, but that's really not that impressive. He literally gets thrown around all the time. So yeah, with all that covered, let's get into the battle analysis. Starting off with strength, and I really don't think I have to mention much. This goes to Monster vs. Godzilla. He was capable of lifting around the Muto Prime. Again, 135,000 tons. So this category goes to Monsterverse. Next up is intelligence. And both of them are actually very well off in this category. Pokemon are very intelligent, as I stated in previous videos, especially Groudon, given the fact that he literally beasts with Ray Ray and Kyogre literally like 24/7. So Groudon is very intelligent and also very battle intelligent. And given the fact that he has lived for like 1,000 years. And Monsterverse has also lived for a very long time and has a lot of battle intelligence and is also overall pretty smart. However, he does have a massive ego. So overall, I do have to give overall intelligence to Groudon, but battle intelligence goes to Monsterverse. Now in terms of ranged weapons, Godzilla mainly has just the atomic breath. However, Groudon has this entire moveset with eruption and precipice blades. So overall, in terms of ranged weaponry, I personally say it's a tie. But I but if I had to choose one, I would probably say Monsterverse just by a hair. So um, Monsterverse, I'm just gonna give this category to you. And next up is durability, and Groudon takes this category easily because of Big Daddy Ray Ray over here. And yeah, next up we have lifting strength, and this category goes to Monsterverse easily. Now, in terms of melee weapons, Godzilla has his tail spines. He also has a very powerful jaw that he uses to lift many kaiju with. He also has those very powerful arms that he can use to yeet around kaiju. Now for Groudon. He has an absolutely beefy tail. His claws are absolutely enormous. He's got that massive maw. And with his overall weight, he can just easily push around opponents, especially with those tail spines. And while it's never been shown, I would assume that with a tail like that, it could be used to like grapple things because of the way it's designed. But it's never really been confirmed, so I'm just gonna leave that out. So, overall, in terms of melee weapons, I'm gonna give this category to Monster vs. Godzilla, simply due to the size factor and overall musculature. And now, to decide the winner, Groudon or Monster vs. Godzilla, who would win? And well, Monsterverse fanboys, come at me in the comments section because I'm giving the W to Primal Groudon. And well, yes, some people in the comment section are gonna be like, well, Monsterverse Godzilla is so much bigger, so he could just step on Groudon and boom. Well, size is not the only thing that goes into a category. Well, size is very important. There are many other things that go into a fight, such as intelligence, battle prowess, weaponry, and overall, Groudon is just better off in most of those categories. While yes, Monsterverse took many more categories, Groudon just takes the more important ones, such as overall combat intelligence and durability, which allows him to eat blows. Not to mention the fact that he has access to moves like Protect and Will-O-Wisp. Just give him overall more consistency over Monsterverse. Well, I'm not saying Monsterverse can't win, he certainly can. It's just Groudon has to play his moves in a way where it gives Monsterverse the edge. And I'm not seeing Groudon doing that any day of the week. So, this is why I gave the W to Groudon. And sorry, Monsterverse fanboys, but Pokemon reigns supreme today because the Titan of the land defeated the King of the Monsters. And overall, I would say that Pokemon would actually sweep much of the Monsterverse. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It was really fun for me to research on both of these absolute titans. Both Pokemon and Monsterverse are by far some of my favorite franchises in the world. I really want to do another matchup like this. And just subscribe to the channel. And as always, I've been the Inferno Dragon. Goodbye.